WTTW Channel 11.
My name is Bill Williams. I've been in the shoeshine business over 35 years. We've been in this location right here. Matter of fact, 35 years. Main location is McCormick Place, which we've been in business 30 years, and Merchandise Mart, which we have been in business approximately 15 years. I'm a shoeshine person myself. Personally, I'm a former Marine, so I always wanted my shoes to be shiny. And matter of fact, it was in this particular location, right here, right where we're sitting now. When I go to church, I would give the guy my 4 or 5 pair of shoes for that week, and he would take care of them. When I come from church, I'd pick them up and take care of them. Well, this day, the shoes look worse than they did when I bought them. So I told my wife, I said, you know what, we can do this, and we're looking for a business, we can do this. And we owned a storefront across the street. So I talked to my mother-in-law who owned the building, and we come with an agreement. And guess what? We not only opened up over there, but we hired the guy that messed up my shoes, changed his attitude, put him in a uniform, and gave him a little more customer-friendly knowledge, and we kept him for 30 years.
I've been married to Bill since I was a teenager, and yeah, that's true. And he's always been in the marketing field. He worked for Solaire, and they were manufacturers of, what were those? Air compressors. And then he worked at the airport, and so he's always had a people person business. And so, I have learned to adapt to, meeting a lot of people and going a lot of places on the dime. On the dime, I get a call, well, we got to be at this place at 6 o'clock. Well, it's 4:30 now, But I think that's probably his greatest attribute, is that he is a people person, and he knows how to meet, greet, and develop relationships with people. Mm-hmm.
There's a German word, it's Kunst, and Künstler is hard to define, but roughly defined as an artist / craftsman / one who creates beauty, and all these slashes. And what's notorious about German words, they can have 30 different meanings depending on how you use them. So a person who shines shoes is definitely a Künstler. One who creates beauty is almost like he could be an alchemist too. He'll take some raggedy shoes. I've seen some raggedy shoes be turned into like almost brand new. They had to do a lot of work. Serious work.
Yeah, shoe shining it's an art, you know. And we restore shoes, we really don't shine them. We try to keep them alive. Because leather is something that lives, you know, it comes from a living entity. So the more you take care of your shoes, the longer they last. Yeah, all the brothers here are master artists. They're very good. I'm not the best though, you know. I'm the wild child, you know. He had to catch up with me. So, peace and love.
A lot of people judge you by your hair and your feet. You know, and I had an older gentleman who used to tell me, he said, man, you need to keep your shoes shine, you know, because you're going some places. And if you really have the desires and ambition to go somewhere in life, he said, walk like it, talk like it. But when you're walking, you know, you gotta give him something to look at.
Cut out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I notice that even today, the first thing people look at are your shoes when they meet you. The measure of a man is the way he takes care of his shoes.
There was a time in history in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, if a man stepped on another man's shoes, he could be killed. I mean, literally cut or shot or beaten, because this was a symbol of your social status. Not only your shoes, but the shine of your shoes, what kind of shoes you could afford, or shoes and hats. Those days, shoes and hats. You could not touch a man's hat on a table. You could not step on his shoes. And today, it's sneakers. The history of shoes is interesting, because in our culture, it has a great depth of understanding who we are and our feeling of status and privilege based on the shoes that we wear.
On the west side, we had this very unique thing called stepping. Stepping has a lot of use for your shoes. And there's a functional one, a very practical function in that you can slide and glide when you step it, right? And it's also to look good, you know, to impress the ladies.
Remember Carl Wright from Big Mama's house? Carl come right here. He'd get his shoes shine all the time. And every now and then, he just wanted to show us that he could sing a rag, do a rag. He was some type of entertainer. We had a guy that moved to Minneapolis that he could really pop that rag. He could really pop that rag.
It's in the rag, it's in the rhythm, it's in the jazz of it, you know, it's in the soul of it, you know. Just two people conversing, the back and forth of it, the reciprocity of it, you know. The word for me now is plasma, the plasma of it, the back and forth of it.
Before I thought it was just a thing that only black people did, you know. You go way back. The black people shining shoes. I thought it was somewhat degrading, but it isn't art. These guys know how to shine a shoe.
The stereotypes about shoe shining really come from the South, where part of my life I grew up. People thought because you're doing a service, you have to provide a smile, you have to look happy. It's like being a flight attendant or any other kind of service. But because it was in the realm of men or males, people thought shoe shine men were subservient. They were not real men. They weren't standing up for themselves. But that told you nothing about the shoe shiners' politics or their masculinity or their independence, because they were often doing it so they could have their own independent money.
That's why they call me Shine. When Harold Washington became mayor. People get up on the shoeshine stand just to say that a black person shined their shoes rather than whether they needed it or not. Because as one guy said to me, no black man's gonna ever tell me what to do. And we'd shine his shoes. We didn't care about what goes on at City Hall or whatever.
The catcalling, the pretending to be black were like white people, white men mostly pretending to be black was not always overt, but I felt it, you know. And I was called the N-word a couple of 3 times, you know, boy, you know. It taught me a kind of way to observe the world as I think about it now. Because I wouldn't accept it today, but that was like 1959, 1960, 1961, when I was going out to shine shoes. So,
as a black man, we found out that we did not, some things we could implement that we couldn't, as long as we were the lieutenant, we could not. But once we became the captain, we could. No one knows, all of us are college trained. No one knows that we have a college factory, although we shine shoes. No one knows that. See, we always say, what do we say? You don't have to finish, but you have to go. Rick is one of those guys he's quiet, but he's a quiet giant. He knows how to do it and how to get it done.
It's humbling because you're doing someone's shoes, but it also takes you, if you're going to wash somebody's feet, you have to have also a great sense of self that you are doing this as an act, a gracious act, and not belittling act. So it has a sense of self.
You might see him shine on my shoes on the day, but you might see me washing his feet tomorrow. You know, so there is a connection. Yeah, absolutely divine connection.
But there's always a connection that happens between that human being working on your shoes and that human being needing that shine. There's an unspoken kind of a character that happens. There's something that does occur, and whether that person, you know, says, "Hey, thank you very much," or leaves a big tip or whatever. And I know that life's not changed, but there is a human connection that happens, a very intimate connection that happens between a man shining your shoes and you sitting there having your shoes shined.
I personally was vice president of the Chicago Convention and Tourism Bureau at McCormick Place. And I would give people my shoeshine card because I own the shoeshine rather than vice president's card. And we would talk about jobs, and they would, if they had a resume, they would fold the resume up and they would move on down. And my buddies would say, you know, I was bogus because I should have told them what I really did. Okay? Because all they did. But they didn't know that we owned the whole block. From shoeshine. Restaurant, grocery store, barbershop, shoe shop. K and J, which is for Keith and Jason, or all of my kids are K. Keith, Karen, and Kevin. And Jason, my nephew.
Bill Williams committed 37 years of his life to this industry in Chicago, continues to be Chicago's ultimate ambassador. And I think there's a few things that made Bill special.
First of all, he bleeds Chicago. So whether he was on the job, off the job, Bill's whole conversation evolved around Chicago. And I think Bill had a lasting impression for many. He was a mentor to many, including people such as myself. And I would say it was Bill's mentorship. I would say it was his ability to commit time to help someone member understand the industry in general, and took the time to introduce you to customers. And clearly, when you weren't in Chicago, Bill made sure that you were always thinking about Chicago.
How do you like that new technology? Good evening, everyone. My name is Don Welsh, and I am with Choose Chicago, your host this evening. And this is a special celebration this evening for a true pioneer and a legend, not only in the hospitality and tourism industry, but also in the city of Chicago. And this is in recognition of 37 tremendous years of our very dear friend, Bill Williams. Bill is right over here.
But now that you're retired, Bill, and the mayor is right, the city owes you a great debt of gratitude for what you've done for the city, bringing conventions here from all across the country.
In our society, we underestimate people at our own peril. Every citizen of this city and of this state owes Bill Williams a debt of gratitude as the revenue that he helped bring to our city and our state.
Right now, we sit with about $6 billion worth of business on our books for future conventions coming to McCormick. And if you look back in terms of many of those customers that have been evolving over the last 20, 30, 40 years, Bill's fingerprint and stamp are on those customers. So I would say, clearly Bill opened the door. These are customers that continue to call Chicago home. And I would say, I'm going to take a wild guess, but Bill Williams is probably representing $5 billion, if not more, over the years of his career.
That's where I was born, that little raggedy house. We come a long ways.
It was just a wonderful experience. I had never attended a street naming before. So it's a real ceremony. They go through a ritual, and then they pull the uncovering, and it displays, the honorary street name. And Bill was born on 110th place. So to have a street name near 111th, it means a lot, and it's a lot that day. In fact, I was born on 111th.
I love shoeshine stands, and every time I'm in the airport or I see one, I try to stop and get a shoeshine. And the shoeshine people know all about the community and what's going on from the corporate world to the underground world. And so I think that it's I would call it more like an oracle. I think it's an oracle because they hear. This is a spot where people talk, and so it's a great conversation spot.
It was a space, a sanctified space, where men were in the business of calling themselves into being. They're just becoming, in a state of perpetual becoming. Because when you're told that you're an animal, and it's represented to you that you're an animal, you can become that animal or you can resist. So for me, Shoeshine Stand is a location and a site of resistance. In some ways, it resists being dehumanized. And I guess when I think about it, as I'm growing older now, resistance is still in vogue for Africans in the New World. If you're not resisting some kind of way, then you're being lulled to sleep.
We have a saying here, and we use it. They talk about honey. There is no fun when the rabbit got the gun. Think about it.
Amen.
Think about it. Think about it. And that's said all the time. There's no fun when the rabbit got the gun. You can go hunting. You can think all you want to. But Lord, let the gun turn around. Let that rabbit start chasing you.
We have people coming as far as Skokie and as far as Dyer, Indiana, that comes actually here through the traffic, no rush hour, and one of the gentlemen that actually comes here for therapy after a long day of work. And this gentleman comes from all the way from Alabama. How are you?
Who's started? That's what I want to know.
I like just being around people. I like putting deals together. I have more fun seeing things come together. I call it the Jell-O mode. You remember, you get to Jell-O, you put the ingredients in, and then you put it in the freezer, and then it comes out and it's all, and you can't even pull it apart, except for two.
These are some great men, they're great businessmen, they're making money, they're doing something they love, and they're making your shoes better. Heal your soul and heal your soul. Shine your soul and shine your souls.
That I tried to help somebody. That's all. End of story. That's all I want my legacy is that I tried to make a difference. And I think I did. That's it.
See this again on Comcast On Demand.
But you couldn't push Ronald Reagan because you pushed right back.
I could have been a very good president. Now we'll never know.
Now, a lot of leaders then stoop to that level.
When they call someone a spoiler, they're basically saying, shut up.
The series takes a look at the campaigns of Shirley Chisholm and John McCain. The Contenders, 16 for 16.
Tuesday at 8 on WTTW 11. Tonight is part of Spotlight Education. A two-part Frontline examines for-profit colleges.
They're loading students with debt.
And explores how an at-risk middle schooler made it out of the Bronx and into an elite boarding school.
It's been great to kind of watch her come into her own.
Then the special TED Talks reveals what's new in the education revolution.
Beautiful things can happen in the actual classroom.
Spotlight Education. Tuesday at 9 on WTTW 11.
How can science help schools today meet the challenges of tomorrow?
Our kids are going to have to work with knowledge not discovered yet, on technologies not invented yet.
Can we unlock the secrets of how children learn?
Here we go, kiddo.
We're trying to get to the point where this will enhance school performance.
School of the Future on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WTTW 11.
Hi, this is Jeffrey Bear in the WTTW studios. We want to thank you so much for your contributions during our recent pledge drive. You are the one who makes it possible for us to do everything that we do and to bring back to you so much wonderful programming like Masterpiece, Frontline, Nova, the PBS NewsHour, children's programming, my tour shows, Check Please. We cannot do it without you. Your support means just the world to us, and we can't say thank you enough.
The 2016 WTTW Great Treasure Hunt Sweepstakes is here. Get ready to ride with a $2,500 shopping spree from Chicago's Turin Bicycle. Choose the folding Brompton bike designed for city ease, a high-tech BMC or Focus for in-town trips or outdoor treks, or a lightweight, long-lasting Cleary kids bike. Then outfit your ride with the best gear and apparel from brands like 7 Mesh. Or experience the wonders of Asia with a trip for 2 to Malaysia. You'll indulge in a 5-night stay at the resplendent Sheraton Imperial Kuala Lumpur Hotel, exploring the capital city's architecture, unique culture, and world-class dining. With travel provided by American Airlines, you'll discover a new world on this once-in-a-lifetime getaway. Enter today for your chance to win. Go to WTTW.com/sweepstakes or call 773-509-1111 extension 2.
Something extraordinary is going to happen very soon.
Programming on WTTW is made possible in part by the Crane Mailing Foundation, dedicated to supporting medical research, education, and the arts.
Ready and control, please. Rolling. Action.
This season, we're going to get right into the nitty-gritty right away.
It's action-packed. In season 2, we definitely up the romance factor. We heighten old relationships. We spark some new loves.
There are love triangles. There are romances that fade. There are ones that spark and grow.
Mary and Jed are feeling very warm towards each other. They've been through a lot, so they're really bonded at this point.
Everything that a viewer might have loved in season 1 is present in season 2 and more.
The second season is wild.
There is a lot of deception. I love playing the spy.
It's in this gigantic, overwhelming backdrop of violence and all these interesting characters coming in and out.
The nucleus of the show in season 1 was very much the hospital. Season 2 has taken us out much closer to the battle.
This season, they're going to push that envelope a little bit in terms of really depicting the atrocities of the Civil War.
The contraband story, it's an element that we touched on last season, but we really dive in more deeply this season. And the way that we've been able to do that is by introducing this character, Charlotte Jenkins, a former slave, who comes down here to help take care of the contrabands and help teach them how to be free.
My character, Charlotte Jenkins, is a northern abolitionist. She's heard about what's going on, and she takes it upon herself to see to these people because no one is really caring about them right now.
Every day, Samuel's revealing more of his medical ability, and he gets a sense that this may not just be a dream anymore. It may be able to become a reality.
They're all engaged deeply in this cataclysmic moment in American history and in the middle of a war. People are dying or surviving based on the choices that doctors and nurses are making. So there's a lot to lose and a lot to be gained.
On Masterpiece.
Yes! He needs an ambulance, Mama. Just hold my hand. Let him come home to his family. I want best behavior.
You're his rock. Can my last victory be one of peace?
Michael Gambon heads an all-star cast.
Face them down, monster.
Churchill's Secret on Masterpiece.
Sunday at 7 on WTTW 11.
Will a mountain lion growl deter a coyote?
He's coming.
That definitely scared him. This may work. If you let your pets out at night, you have to sit here, you have a speaker around the pet's collar.
The mountain lion growl seems to hold promise for keeping coyotes away from your pets. But we need more trials to prove that it actually works.
Scared him. But look, he didn't go far. Look, he's
figuring it out.
Yes, he's become used to it. Well, I think it's safe to say that the puma growl startled the coyote.